Welcome to Attenuation, a weekly podcast where two friends come together to drink beer, discuss beer styles and trends, and just generally ruminate on the meaning of life, aka beer. If you enjoy your time with us, we invite you to become a weekly listener and subscribe to the podcast. Without further ado, here is this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Steven. My co-host Jason was unavailable this week, so I secured a guest host. She is an experienced home brewer and sour beer taster. She's an avid hoverboarder and cheerleader extraordinaire. It is none other than my adorable daughter, Quinn.
Hello.
Hi, Quinn. How are you today?
Good.
Are you excited to be a co-host on the podcast?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you nervous?
Nope.
No, not nervous?
No.
It's just natural for you to talk on a podcast, huh?
Yeah.
You've been the outro for the podcast for a while now.
Yeah.
But you only had to record that one time, and then we just played the same one over and over.
Mhm.
Wouldn't it be funny if we made you do it again and again every single episode?
That'd be hard.
Okay, so I said she was an experienced home brewer because she has brewed with me a few times. What is your favorite thing about brewing with me when we home brew?
I like to stir. I like also filling in the basket thing with all the seeds thing.
Oh yeah, so the grains. You're talking about the muslin bag.
Yeah.
With the grains, so you fill that up and it looks like a sock at first, and then you fill it with all these grains, and it makes this big huge bag, and then we dip that in the water. We steep those grains, and that gives us the sugar that we need to make the beer, right?
Yeah.
Pretty fun. And you like to stir. There's a lot of stirring that goes on with the home brew, that's for sure. Okay, should we taste the beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that we do all our beer segments. And, of course, our favorite one is drinking beer. For legality's sake, I will be the only one drinking because Quinn is only 8. But I will have Quinn do some nose notes, okay? So I'll pour the beer and then we'll both smell it. And maybe we can both say what we smell.
Yeah.
So let me introduce my beer. It's called Sweet and Sour Plums from Martin House Brewing in Fort Worth, Texas. It's one of my favorite breweries, especially here in Texas. This is a sour plum beer with lactose. You know what lactose is?
No.
Lactose is the sugar from milk, but the yeast can't eat that sugar. So what's cool about that is that you can add lactose and it makes the beer sweet without the yeast eating it and making the beer not sweet. Okay, Quinn. Let's do our description first. What does it look like?
Like a strawberry.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of pink, kind of red.
Yeah.
And then does it have lots of bubbles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, about an inch of head, and they're staying there for a long time. And when you tip it and you move it back, and all the bubbles still kind of stay there on the side, that's called lacing. So there's a lot of lacing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some nose notes. You smell it. Tell me what you smell.
I don't know. Kind of strawberry and plummy.
Yeah, strawberries and plums.
It smells sugary.
That's good. Yeah, it smells kind of sweet. Almost a little bit of pineapple, maybe, like pineapple and that stone fruit kind of plum apricot. Okay, cheers, Quinn.
Cheers.
Okay, so this beer's very good. Not my favorite from them. It's very sweet and very sour, which is very fun. And this is a Martin House beer, so you can usually expect the sourness to be pretty high. And it's a really good lactic sourness. I just love what they do. I'm not sure exactly what their sour program is and what it looks like or how they sour their beers, but they always do a really good job with their level of sourness. The sweetness for sure comes from the lactose. The taste kind of follows the nose. Plum, strawberry sweetness to it. It's a real light-bodied beer, effervescent, carbonation, just easy to drink, sweet and sour. There's nothing super complex here, but it's very fun, and it would be an easy beer to just kind of drink a few at a party or drink by the pool in the summer or something. So not really a winter beer, but it's fun. Okay, so I was thinking that for this episode, Quinny and I could just ask each other questions about beer. Obviously, Quinn is young, and she doesn't have a lot of experience with beer, but she does like tasting beers whenever I open something new, especially the sour ones. She likes sour beers. Do you like sour stuff?
Yeah.
What's your favorite sour candy?
From the market, I like the sour lemon candies.
Okay. From where?
The market.
From the market? Like the Asian market? H-Mart?
Yeah, H-Mart.
H-Mart. Okay, yeah, we have an Asian market. So the lemon sour candies from the Asian grocery store. I like that. Okay, so we talked about home brewing a little bit and what your favorite part of that was. I think my favorite part is the whole process, going through it, taking our time. There's a lot of waiting involved, but you can always throw on some good music, or you were playing the Switch, so you can kind of watch your brew boil, play some video games. There's just some fun stuff. You can just drink another beer and talk with your friends, that kind of stuff. It's just a fun activity you can do as a group, or just hanging out with your dad. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions for me?
How old are you when you started making beer?
Making beer? I think I brewed my first batch 4 or 5 years ago. And so I was like 33, 34.
I was 6.
No, you were 4.
Oh, but I didn't help you. I helped you when I was 6.
Okay, yeah. The first time you helped me, you were 6. That's true. What else?
How old are you when you started trying beer?
Well, I had my first beer when I was probably 22 or 23, and it was not a very good beer. It was called Coors Light. Not a beer that you drink and like do a tasting on. But then my friend Jason, who is my co-host on the podcast, he has been into craft beer for a lot longer than me. And so when we would hang out, I would always kind of drink beer with him and learn from him. And then I started to make it a hobby for me. So then I was seeking out different kinds of beers and trying lots of different beer styles, and started to learn more and more about beer. And then I started to homebrew a little bit, started to learn about the process of making beer, and then that just helps make you sort of understand the beer, and you want to learn more, and you want to try different styles, because there's so many different styles of beer. Some of the sours that you try, that's just one style of beer. There's so many that are sweeter, some that are more bitter, and some that use more hops. They're very like fruity and hoppy. Lots of different kinds of styles. Some are dark that taste more like chocolate and caramel and coffee. Okay, any other questions?
Did your parents drink beer?
My parents did not drink beer, actually. When I was a kid, I know my dad used to drink what's called near beer, which is beer that doesn't have any alcohol in it. O'Doul's was the brand. They made a beer that didn't have any alcohol in it, so it tasted like beer. And I tried it one time when I was a kid. His near beer was sitting on the counter, so I tried it. It was terrible. Yep, I didn't drink any alcohol until I had that Coors Light. That was my first time drinking a beer. So, like, I'm not like you, having already tried different things. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
They just had a different way of growing up.
Yeah.
I learned to drink beer much later in life than you. I mean, you're like a European. In Europe, they drink beer a lot younger. It's more normal. Okay, well, I have a question for you. So, especially since we've moved to Texas, we like go to a lot of breweries when we go out to dinner and stuff. What is your favorite brewery here in Texas?
I like Jester King.
That's a good choice. They make some good beer. And why do you like Jester King so much?
Because there's goats.
Because there's goats.
And a dog.
And a dog, that's true. They have a big herd of goats out at the Jester King Brewery. It's just a big open area. It's just really nice to kind of walk around and see the goats and say hi to the dog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. You don't have any more questions?
No.
This is your time to shine on the podcast. Should that be it? That's the podcast?
It's usually more than an hour.
Yeah, but that's okay. This can be a short episode. Let's talk some beer news. So, I had mentioned that they started brewing Pliny the Elder at Russian River Brewing, and that release was going to be in early February. Well, I think because of so much COVID with this new Omicron variant, it is much more contagious. Luckily, it's producing a much milder illness in people, but it is spreading and it is causing a lot of staffing shortages and just health concerns in general for the public. So I know Russian River just announced that they are pushing back their Pliny the Younger release until March. I think they're hoping that some of this will blow over and most people will get sick and recover, and by that time it will be much calmer, fewer staffing shortages and stuff like that, and they'll be able to handle a real successful Pliny the Younger release. So that has been pushed until March. We'll keep you updated on whether either Jason or I will be attending that. It's still kind of up in the air. But other than that, thumbs up on the sweet and sour plum beer from Martin House Brewing. I apologize for this kind of short episode, a little mini episode. But thank you, Quinn, for joining me here today.
You're welcome.
Anything you want to say to anybody listening?
Make peanut butter beer.
Make peanut butter beer. She declared it, and we did, right?
Mm-hmm.
We made a peanut butter beer. Okay, thank you for joining us on this episode. We appreciate you listening and keeping up with us. Follow us on Instagram at attenuation.podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can contact us by email at contact.attenuation@gmail.com. And we will hopefully be back next week. Both hosts, we will bring you a new episode with some good beer tastings and some fun beer banter. Oh, Quinn has something else to add.
Make sure to listen to the end because that's my part.
Oh yeah, a reminder to listen to the outro. Don't shut off your podcast yet. Listen all the way to the end. That's Quinn's favorite part. Okay, so we are signing off with episode 43 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. We will see you next week. Go out there and drink good beer. Cheers.
Goodbye. Cheers. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Attenuation, a beer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more fun content. Catch you next week. Cheers.